While Kamala Harris is riding high, Donald Trump's rough patch continues as once again his personal insults get in the way of his effort to paint Harris as far too liberal. But his week has ended on a high note with some help from third-party candidate Robert Kennedy Jr. Running out of money and tanking in the polls, RFK Jr. ending his presidential run and endorsing Donald Trump.
In my heart, I no longer believe that I have a realistic path to electoral victory.
The two appearing together.
Don't you want a president who's going to protect America's freedoms?
He is a phenomenal person.
As Trump wrapped up his sprint across swing states.
Comrade Kamala Harris, you're fired.
Where he counter-programmed the Democratic convention, attacking the Biden-Harris administration.
But crime in America is out of control. I'm going to make it, along with the economy, inflation, strong borders, and energy dominance, my top priority.
But amid the policy critique,
They always say, sure, please stick to policy, don't get personal. Should I get personal?
it was Trump's personal attacks that made the headlines.
Kamala is also on a regulatory jihad to shut down power plants.
From questioning her background,
I wonder if they knew where she comes from, where she came from.
even to discussing her appearance.
I'm a better looking person than Kamala.
Kristen, you've done some polling on this. At this point in the campaign, not when he was at 15% in the polls, but now when he's in the low single digits, how big a deal is RFK Jr.'s endorsement of Trump? Will it make a difference?
I think it will help Trump just a little bit. And that's because for many of these voters who liked RFK Jr. to begin with, it was the Kennedy name that was really drawing them in. That's why his Super Bowl ad earlier in the year had really drawn on that Kennedy family iconography. But as his numbers have fallen, those still remaining are the ones that really liked his anti-establishment message. I would do focus groups talking to disaffected Trump voters, and they would say they were RFK Jr. curious. And they describe him the way they used to describe Trump, anti-establishment. He's not afraid to offend people and say the thing nobody else is willing to say. So with him getting out of the race, I think some of those folks do revert back to Donald Trump, making it still the close race we always knew it was, but a point or two here and there is not nothing.
Nia, does Kennedy getting out of the race and backing Trump, does it boost Trump's candidacy?
Yeah, I think this is exactly right. I mean, it's unclear who, if you look at the expanse of voters that are shrinking that were RFK Jr., some of those folks are Trump folks. Some of those folks are sort of the original anti-vaxxers, like the hippy-dippy liberal types. It's some of those folks. And a lot of it, just sort of low information voters who maybe think, he represents the old kind of Kennedy name. So it's kind of unclear to me what those folks will do. Some will back Donald Trump, I think. Some will probably just stay home.
I was going to say, a lot of these were double haters, particularly when it was Biden versus Trump. I think a lot of them are just going to stay home.
Yeah, maybe they'll vote for Jill Stein. Maybe if Cornel West is on the ballot in some of these places, maybe they'll do that. But again, maybe they just don't vote at all.
Then there's all the noise from Trump, Comrade Kamala, regulatory jihad. I wonder where she comes from. Kara, are Trump's personal attacks undercutting? At the same time, he's trying to make an argument about her own policy.
Yeah, keep him coming. He looks like an idiot when he's doing them. Honestly, it's just he can't help himself and he doesn't know how to deal with her. It's really interesting to watch him trying to formulate an attack, and it has to be personal. The other part is, I know this sounds crazy, but he talks about her looks a lot, and everything with Trump is looks, and it's creepy. And he thinks she's pretty, I think.
Beautiful.
And doesn't know, beautiful, and doesn't know what to do. So again, he's going after Coach Walz, like who cares about who the vice president is on many levels. So I think keep him coming and he should be focusing on her record, but he can't. He just can't.
I want to pick up on that with you, Reihan, because there is a solid case on the record to be made against Harris, the far-left position she took on a bunch of issues in 2019 when she thought her real opposition was Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, some of the policy failures on the economy and immigration in the Biden-Harris administration. So why does he keep getting in the way of making those arguments? I mean, he does make them, but then he tops it and ends up getting the headline and the focus with calling her Comrade Kamala.
Well, I think that this is who Trump is. It's who he's always been. It's very difficult for him to be really disciplined. But here's the challenge. If you look at the Harris campaign, they have had the best political month in modern political history. It's really quite extraordinary. And part of that is bringing in new talent, bringing in veterans of the Obama campaigns. And I think that Trump is going to have to do something similarly dramatic. He needs some kind of change. He had a team that, in a very disciplined way, prosecuted the case against the incumbent president, Joe Biden. They were not prepared to get punched in the mouth. They have been. So the proof is going to be in whether or not they're able to make a similarly dramatic change or shakeup to how they're approaching this race. Will Trump rise to the challenge?
Because everybody has praised the team that he had, Susie Wiles and Chris LaCivita. And, you know, he ran a really smart campaign in the primaries. I think his really best decision was not to engage in the debates at all. Are you saying, because, you know, Corey Lewandowski, his original campaign manager, is there. You think there should be a staff shakeup? Do you think there will be?
I do think that they will likely bring in other folks to augment the team. I think that Wiles and LaCivita have a lot, they've accomplished a lot. They deserve a lot of credit and praise. But I do think it's very clear that they need a different kind of approach in the months to come. And we'll see if Trump is able to. That's right. That's right.
But I do think Trump understands that most elections are vibes election. As much as we talk about sort of policy and we want more policy, meat on the bone from the Kamala Harris team, he very much wants to kill the vibes around the Kamala Harris campaign. His whole election in 2016 was a vibes election.
But going after her personally isn't doing that.
But I think he thinks the sort of comrade Kamala stuff, that he thinks that kind of stuff works. Where is she really from? You know, it's sort of a rebirth of birtherism, for lack of a better word. So he very well knows. I mean, that sort of her beauty, he is obsessed with that because he knows that sells to the American people someone who is very intelligent.
Kristen, I want to pick up on exactly what Reihan was saying, which is she could not have had a better month than she's had. And he has had a pretty terrible month. This race is still within the margin of error. Why?
Yes, well, we're a very divided country. And so in that kind of an environment, you know, right now, most of the voters in the polls I'm looking at that are going toward Harris are not people who are switching from Trump to Harris. There are not a lot of people who are like, yes, I was for Donald, but now I've changed my mind. What she's doing is consolidating all of those people who had said, I don't really know. I don't even know if I want to participate in this process. When I look at polls compared to July and today, Donald Trump's numbers are about the same place, 43, 44, 45%. It's Harris's numbers that are now 5, 6, 7 points higher than Biden's. She's collecting all of these undecideds who are making up their minds, but their minds may not be firmly made up. And so she still has to seal the deal.
They kept saying at the convention that she's the underdog. Do you think that's true today?
I don't think she's the underdog right now, but I think she's smart for running like she is.
Well, listen, I think in America, a black woman who is trying to be the commander-in-chief, I think she is the underdog.
But I spoke to a lot of Harris officials, and they really are worried about Pennsylvania. They're worried about, I don't think it's a fake thing, what the message
Why
is.
Pennsylvania in particular?
Because for the 19 electoral votes, I think they...
No, I understand the stakes.
Because they think they're doing better in Michigan and Wisconsin than they are in Pennsylvania. And that's
older, whiter voters.
And their internal polls are weaker as well. Future Forward, the main Harris super PAC, is out there saying, guys, our polls are a lot tighter than these polls. Harris has done well and is polling decently well right now, but she's still polling behind where Joe Biden was in 2020 and where Hillary Clinton was in 2016. This is actually a very tight race. Other than the last 2 months, this is the best Donald Trump has ever polled against a Democratic presidential contender. So they're still in the fight.
So buckle your seatbelts.
Indeed.